What are some of the sins according to Scientology?
Most of the sins from a Scientology perspective are just doing or saying anything that brings disrepute to Scientology itself, right? Remember, it's not like Christianity where there's rules. If you break this rule, you're not getting into heaven.
Yeah.
Because Scientology doesn't think about things.
Oh, there's the drug. You can't do drugs, right?
You can't do drugs. And you can't take any psychotropic medications.
And no medications almost at all?
You're allowed to take medications. It's just, there's no rules expressly prohibiting it. It's just most Scientologists tend not to. You can take Advil, but many Scientologists won't.
Okay.
You just can't take anything prescribed by a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or any drugs that are psychotropic drugs. I mean, SSRIs are considered probably the closest thing to pure evil in the world of Scientology.
What about, weird question, what about sex? Is there boundaries on what's...
There used to not be. It's become very puritanical in the last many decades for a reason I can't actually explain. Like, Miscavige does seem to be infatuated with controlling sex. Like that is one thing about Miscavige version of Scientology that's gotten very strange. I mean, L. Ron Hubbard even specifically wrote a policy that says we are no longer going to regulate in any way the bedroom activities of people. He literally said, from this point on, no one is allowed to be subject to any justice actions of any kind whatsoever for anything they do in their sexual lives. But that still did not give permission for gay relationships. That was still referring to straight stuff.
And monogamous only. Can you do can you do open marriages and open relationships?
According to that L. Ron Hubbard policy, you can.
Yeah, but here no.
I think he wrote that policy before he created the Sea Organization. And then what happened is, this is actually how this came into effect. He created the Sea Organization. You had a lot of people on a ship, and everybody was just banging each other, and it created just a nightmare of personal relationship. It was making production impossible. Not because everybody was spending so much time banging, but because everybody was so upset about who was banging who.
Yeah. I mean, sex and that kind of dynamic is really. I mean, humans do what humans do, and then there's drama and all of that. It's understandable because everybody's so intimate. It's a closed tribe. It makes sense to limit sex. Otherwise, otherwise it becomes a sex cult. Yeah, which a lot of them end up becoming. Or on that topic, would you classify Scientology as a cult?
100%, but not because I'm like fully conversant with the academic differentiations between what's a religion and what's a cult. I mean, Scientology would say, well, all small new religions are cults, and I don't know, that's probably true. Some people would say all religions are cults, and I'd be like, depends on how you define religion, and it depends on how you define cult. But I just fall back on my thing of like, if you're destroying families and bankrupting your members, you're a cult. Yeah, that's how
it's
I look at it.
Us versus them, and the them could be your family, could be your loved ones. That's deeply destructive, and one of the things you would probably throw into the definition of a cult is something that's actually destructive. Because like I do a lot of stuff that's a cult like jiu-jitsu. Like there's a lot of really close-knit tribes, but there's no negative toxicity to it. There's no divide. There's no divisions. Or if there is, it's more, boy... Try being a fan of a certain soccer team and then becoming a fan of another soccer team.
That's hardcore.
And like,
but I'll tell you, I train jiu-jitsu as well, and I have found that community of people to be one of the most loving and helpful group of people ever. Shout out to John Keller, Gracie Baja Clearwater. No, but seriously, like it's one of the reasons I continue to do it, despite my back, my hip, my shoulder. It's like, it's just such a cool group of guys.
Goes on. It used to not, I think it was much more divisive in the beginning from its Brazilian roots. One of the things that's really hard is the team oriented. Like if you're this team, you're ride or die with this team. And there's the Crianches, they go to another team. Yeah. And I think that aspect, that was actually a turnoff for me in the beginning, that there's toxicity of that, because I understand that a little bit for the elites, for the highest of the highest, that I like the brotherhood and the loyalty of the people, like the Olympic gold medalists, the best in the world, yes. But for like recreational fun,
I know.
Like it's like, this is all ultimately about the camaraderie of all human beings together, not some whatever label you put on yourself.